John Smoltz, Major League Baseball Network. John joining us, part of Fox's broadcast team calling the NLCS, beginning Saturday from Wrigley, plus MLB Network's MLB Tonight, which airs before and after every League Championship Series. John, thanks for joining us this morning. How you feeling?
I'm still shaking my head. I still can't believe the 4-game series that I had the pleasure of calling. I knew it was going to be a good one. I had no idea it was going to play out the way it did.
What if the Cubs didn't win last night?
It would have made probably for the most watched Game 5 ever. It would have been a fantastic pitching matchup and a lot of pressure on the Chicago Cubs. And forget the history. That is always compounded pressure of any organization or team that hasn't been part of something for a while. This is the best team in baseball that was going to deal with their own pressure of playing a pedigree, unbelievable, just to stay with that theme, can't lose an elimination game team that's won 3 championships. I thought it was going to be probably the worst matchup for the Cubs before it started, and it could have been that scenario had it played out. And San Francisco got to a Game 5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. This was the team they didn't want to face because the Giants understand how to win, but the Giants' bullpen, or lack thereof, came back and haunted them last night. They melted down in dramatic fashion.
Yeah, they couldn't avoid the inevitable, and the inevitable was something in the second half that just was a problem for Bruce Bochy. And anybody who thinks, that this is the way that the game has got to go and the mix and match and throw as many pitchers as you can, you got to have a guy. And that guy has to be a lockdown guy that you trust, that you start the inning with every single time the 9th inning comes around. And if you don't have that guy, this is what inevitably can happen. And it undid the San Francisco Giants in a way that I never thought could happen in a 9th inning momentum-building series that was really swinging towards the Giants.
If I had a draft right now of all the Chicago Cubs and you have first pick, who are you taking?
Gosh, that's a great question. And I would have, hands down, it would have been Bryant. And it probably still could be. But the more you watch Pedro Baez, I never thought he could make these adjustments offensively. This is a guy that he had a historic strikeout rate, and it was almost like an automatic out to any good pitcher that could face him. I never thought the defensive ability that he has was this off the charts. I'd heard it from Joe Madden. And it's absolutely right. So, Bryant's going to steal all the headlines, and rightfully so, because he's a guy that can play multiple positions, and the power speaks for itself. But the Cubs have put themselves. The reason it's a great question, they have so many choices, and that's a good thing if you're trying to not only end a long drought of World Series championships, but a fact that you can go deep and win a World Championship is why they're one of the favorite.
He's John Smoltz, Major League Baseball Network, joining us. What do you expect in Game 5 Dodgers-Nationals? It's why you pay Scherzer all that money for a moment like this.
Yeah, and he's going to love it. Look, he's become a whole different person since he's come to the National League. I got a chance in spring training to just get a sneak preview of his workout, his effort of how he approaches the game, and it's not going to be short of emotion. It's not going to be short of all kinds of getting after it. And I think the Dodgers, much of what you talked about the San Francisco Giants, which ended up being their Achilles heel, this has been the Dodgers all year. They're going to have to face, they're going to have to try to throw 6 pitchers at them and see if their bullpen can get it done. It's a tough scenario to keep having it be successful, but it has been that point for the Dodgers that has allowed them to get to this part. And, Rich Hill's going to have to be pretty good, and the leash is going to be short. And I'm sure, Dave Roberts is going to have all his guys lined up, ready to go, similar to what Bruce Bochy did in the World Series against Kansas City.
Yeah, you hope that blister situation doesn't come back for Hill. Before I let you go, youth baseball, disciplining. I know you don't see discipline as much in youth baseball. We've been talking about a football coach who got dismissed for disciplining a kid. He made him run. You got kids. You experienced this? Been a part of it yourself?
Dan, we've gotten the balance of everything in life's gotten out of whack. There are going to be some really bad ones and there's some really good ones. And I think it's the balance that we're losing with with being able to understand just the responsibility of coaches. And I love the thought of being a coach, the psychology of trying to get kids to do things that they wouldn't do on their own. I love the challenge of leading kids, and that's that mindset, the pressure on coaches and the self-pressure to win, to do things. That's when it gets out of balance. And I think we got to find a way that just because somebody's unhappy of the way something is done, that we can't keep always giving that person or person's power to make it, the way they want it to be. It's not a concierge style life that sports should or can be, and kids cannot be the ones running the system. Kids cannot hold all the answers. At the same time, we've got to find a way to weed out some that are not very good. I've followed my kids' sporting career as much as I could through my own, and I've witnessed and I watch coaches on the other side. And there's only been a couple times where I've gone up to the person and said, "You have no business being in the coaching business. You have no business leading kids, because the idea that you have is not the idea of what really coaching is about." We're talking about young kids.
But what were they doing, John?
What's that?
What was the coach doing that bothered you?
It was over the top, 7, 8-year-old, just trying to win so bad that it was you could tell the frustration was on. He was living this frustration through these girls' basketball situations. Sometimes you look and you go, "Come on," and that's where it gets a little crazy. And coaches that give of their time, if there was just an opportunity that they could understand 3 missions, 3 goals, 3 scenarios, that would better help them lead the bunch of kids in a better way. But it's not 90-10. It's the bad. It's the 10% that make it seem like this is going on 90%. Just have to find a better way to weed those out.
Good to talk to you, John. Have fun at Wrigley. We'll be watching.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.